Okay. See how this looks. No ugly faces on the screen. More voices there. DTOs. Okay. Straight derail, even before I get started. You want me to bring up the repository that you linked to? Okay. Okay. So let's have a look. Let me PR and get kind of lucky the files are listed in order. Okay, cool. So what we're looking at. What do you want to speak about exactly? Okay. I'm just scrolling through thinking about this. So even though there's 20 files or two text file, okay. So you got a DTO and an aggregate. Okay. So do you want me to go over more detail what I spoke about in the Discord today? Right. Okay. So let me kind of demonstrate in terminology wise first, so we're on a clear understanding of what's what, right? If we do, we're gonna need that afterwards. I don't think it's a pattern necessarily, but yeah, Fibonacci is kind of aggregate, but that's the actual pattern of it. So if we have, let's start with DTOs. DTOs are a little simpler, right? A DTO, data transfer objects, come from, and you saw it, if you watched much of the stream on Saturday, you saw me create the same model over and over and over again, and those are essentially DTOs. So if we have let's say we have a floor plan, right? We're doing a building, right? We might have public class dimensions, and we have public int with, I don't know, mess around with specifics of language, and width and depth or length. Sorry. That would be perfect for a DTO, because all it's doing is transferring a piece of data around the system, right? There's no logic in there. There's no behavior in there. So a common way might be to do that, right? So it is literally just for transferring that data around the system. So in the other day, I had a website which transitioned to a handler layer, which transitioned to a database object, right? And in between, I had DTOs. So I had a DTO passed in, essentially, a model, as I referred to it as. It went into the website. And then that created an object, which essentially becomes another DTO. And then ultimately what we refer to as the model is actually the database data, right? So the DTOs are really for transferring data around. They're not for calculating or doing things like that. They are literally just for passing data from one piece to another in a structured manner. All right. So DTOs, if you're thinking of them complexly, then stop. They're just data objects, right? Yeah, that's why create doesn't go into them, because they're not creational, they're not functional in any way. They are just data, right? It's yeah. Yeah, essentially, if they could be, if there's a core set of data and they're similar, then yeah, you could. But you don't necessarily need to make an interface if they're specific. So if you're dealing with answers and questions, then you're probably best dealing with them as answers and questions, and not I contain data or whatever, or what I contain text as a base interface, and you can pass them around. Then you kind of have, one of the important pieces people forget when they're trying to design code is readability, and how easy is it to understand. Sometimes it's best just to do it without the interface and then see if an interface kind of appears. Don't try and program to a design. And that's kind of what I was cautioning you against earlier on, was you kind of look like you're trying to fit terminology into the code to get that in there, and it's not really necessary. Yeah, so just use the interface if you need to. Don't actually create an interface up front and try and, code is best explored. And when you've got a grasp for it, some designs will show themselves. So the other things are aggregates. Now, an aggregate is, again, your classes aren't really aggregates because they are not the sum of the things that happen, right? So if we have this is a bit of a stretch, but let's say you had add question, right? Or question added was an event, right? And your survey aggregate, right, would listen to question added. Right, so every time a question was added, it'd be added into the survey. This is a real big stretch, just so you know. So if survey was the list of questions, and its data as a concept was only the questions that were added, then yes, survey would be an aggregate, right? But I think that's a bit of a stretch for this design. I don't think you necessarily need to complicate it that way. Where aggregates generally, so where I've used aggregates before is we have the concept, it could be answers, but I don't think the survey is necessarily an aggregate root of itself. Where we've used aggregates before is the concept of a service order, right? So a service order is a service at a time, at a place with requirements, right? Under its own weight, the service order has no value, right? The service order is just a group of concepts linked together by this data. But the sum of these pieces make up that service order, right? So service order created, order scheduled, right? Well, they're not DTOs; they're pieces of data. They could be many pieces of data themselves. They're not everything doesn't need to be DTO, right? Ultimately, if using event sourcing, the resulting state of these events can be played back and become the current version of the object. How do I put that in? That sounds more confusing and not less. This is going to be very rough. Very rough, because I've not done this in a long time. So we create a console app.NET Core. Event source, right? So let's say we have a public interface, iHandle of T, and this is void handle T message, right? Let's call that message, and this would be in other side. That just indicates to the language that we are going to use that as an input variable, not it's never returned from this thing. It just helps it optimize it, I believe, the covariant, contravariant stuff. And let's say we have a public class. Let's say no, we don't need that. Class service order. Sorry. Okay, so a service order unto itself is not a thing, right? It's a combination of the data. So let's say we have a public date time service date and a public float of let's say we have public double area, right? We're servicing an area or some sort, right? The service order, traditionally the way we might have done this is we might have said, okay, well, service order has a method that is public void set service date, right? And we pass in a date time, and so we might make these private because, you know, and then we do service date equals time, right? But the problem with this is it kind of becomes messy, and it's very much reliant upon us being able to call these methods from other places, right? If we save all the events as a stream of things that happen, so think of Kafka, right? If Kafka takes a snapshot of the object, so each topic in Kafka is really representing the aggregate, right? Because it's the current state of the data. How it got to there is not the concern of Kafka. So what we can do is we can capture every single event. So I'm being stupid here. Microsoft Word or any editor, right? If I type something in X, Y, Z, right, and then I do Control Z, right, it has an undo buffer, right? Those are events, right? Those are things that happen that I can undo and I can unwind, right? So I can take something from its beginning and play it forward through its existence, right? So Git history is event sourcing essentially, because Git traps every change that happened and you can play it back when you snapshot it, right? You git commit, you are snapshotting the current state, and then you can play back those events and you can jump back at any point in time and play up to that point in time. The benefit is you can rebuild an object in its state without worrying about so you can change your business rules and play it back and do all sorts of things with an aggregate through event sourcing. And so the aggregate is the combination of all these things coming together. So if I have public class schedule order, or schedule service, we call it, and this has public date time date schedule, right? And I have public class, and essentially these are DTOs, right? These events are DTOs. We're just not labeling them as DTOs because they're more specific, and that's kind of what I was saying before about naming, sometimes we tag names on things just because it fits something, but it's a little hard. So this might be service scheduled if we're talking about it as an event, and this might be area calculated, right? And this would be public double area, right? So how it's calculated, how it's serviced, how it's scheduled is not the concern of the service order, just the fact that this is the combination. This is what we would present as the current service order, right? So in here now we'll say I handle service scheduled. I handle area calculated, right? If I implement that now, right, what we'll do is we'll say service date equals message.scheduled. And this is a very rough event sorting off the complete top of my head, so forgive me if it's really messy. So now this service order is the combination of these events happening, right? So if we take var service order equals new service order, right? And then we do var scheduled equals new service scheduled. And again, these would not come from here. These would come from all over the place. Date time dot now dot add -7 add days -7. So it's scheduled for last week, and then var calculated equals new area calculated. Area equals 40.5. So if we do service order that handle scheduled and service order that handle calculate, right? So then we're going to do console.writeLine service order dot service date console.writeLine service order dot area, right? And we run that now. What we should see is that we have a date and a time, right? Now another event comes in, service order dot handle new service scheduled for add days 10, right? Output service order. Now let's do that again. Now our state has changed, right? Still 40.5, but now our date has changed, right? We've moved forward 7 days rather than go back 7 days. But the service order represents a current snapshot of the data, right? So that's what an aggregate is. An aggregate is all the things that come together to make the thing. How they get there, event sourcing is one method. It could be all sorts of... It's lagging. I'm not dropping any frames. I'm at 5900 KB. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. So this is event sourcing this, but yeah, I do stream. I should probably lower that at some point. But the problem is the code text, right? And we get a stable bitrate for streaming code. If this was games, this would be about 2000 KB lower. It definitely doesn't deal with that as well. So yeah, the aggregate is the things that happened to make the data, right? So all we're concerned about from a public standpoint is this is what we call a service order. But a service order is the culmination of these things happening. So if we were to reschedule it, right, and this is, again, really simplistic. If we were to reschedule it again, or let's say, okay, now the customer comes in and says, oh, I added on, could I add the backyard or whatever, right? Then we might do service order.handle new area calculated, and the area would be 50.5, right? Because again, the service order itself doesn't care how you calculate area. It doesn't care how you schedule the thing. It just cares. It just is a data, a culmination of all the pieces of data coming together to make it, right? Output service order, service order. So if we output it once more, let's just make sure that that's distinct. So we have the order was originally scheduled for 3.2, 40.5. Then we rescheduled it to 3.19. It's still 40.5. We didn't change that data when we sent the new event. And then we sent an event to say we're going to resize it to 50.6 from 40.5, right? So the schedule time still stays the same. So the actual order that we're presenting, the thing that get printed on a sheet of some form, would be the culmination of these events happening, and not the order being updated, right? Traditionally, we'd probably store this record as a data record unto itself, and then have the code update the table, right? This way, we capture the events that came to that. The benefit there is we can actually replay those events. You aren't trying to retrieve event one separate. Yeah, they're completely independent of each other. Yeah, so what's the current state of the order is the playback of the events, right? And again, this is really simple. You should look into event sourcing if you want to see this really done impressively. And Git and your controls, your undo buffer in your browser, in your editor, etc., uses a similar technique, right? It's a series of commands or events that have happened that it's recorded that it can unwind, right? So you can say, oh, well, I want to undo the last one. Okay, so undo the last one. So, play my object up until this point or whatever. Undo buffers are slightly different, but same idea. Yeah, so to fit to fit the behavior into something you want to call an aggregate doesn't really fit what an aggregate really is. You're creating, it sounds like you've got something that says, okay, build me an actual survey, given a list of questions and answers. I want to come up with a survey. Yeah. And then, separate out by all means how you display it from how you build it. But they're more behavioral. And that's why I said some of these things are hard, right? Some of the things like it might be a survey generator or, some term, but the term you put in there is just something that you should understand. The problem with things like aggregates and DTOs is people already have an established understanding of what an aggregate is. And if your terminology doesn't fit with theirs, then it doesn't really help them understand the code. So in this instance, what you're doing is you're building your survey, right? So you've got a thing that you pass in a list of questions and a thing and a list of answers, and you combine these into an outputted object. And by all means, the thing you return could be a DTO. The things that you pass in, if they're not complex, could be DTOs. But your thing in the middle is a processor, a builder, I think it was Uncle Bob that was saying, avoid words like manager and processor and things like that. And my challenge there is, okay, so what do you name them, right? His point was you're being too, Yeah, a survey builder. And think of it from this perspective. If you were to talk about this thing, what is it doing, right? What is it actually doing? Can it be doing, is it doing more than one thing? If it is, then maybe you've got more than one thing. So survey renderer, again, that would be a term that Uncle Bob would have been disappointed in, I think. And I haven't seen that advice from other developers. And I don't wholly agree with it, because sometimes it matters what you call something that you'll come back and think, oh, I know exactly what that is. Right. So let's say you do something to display the survey, then that might be the survey renderer or the survey output or whatever. And the capture of the survey, maybe that's one thing. But then the building of that survey, it might be the survey builder. We have that pattern. There's actually the builder pattern, right? But what I would suggest is, when you're doing this sort of stuff, don't start with a pattern and terminology and try to make the code fit. Start with the code, write the code, keep reviewing the code, and try to think about that code as if someone else is going to come and read it. All right. If you have to write a comment, to explain something, stop and think, is that because this is a complex piece of code, or because I'm making it too complicated and I can make it simpler? Oftentimes you can avoid the comment. Right? I don't know what PHP builder pattern looks like, but this is C#. Yeah. I mean, your class layout, your code was nice and clear. It was easy to understand. And when I looked at it again from the whole, you know what, I get it, right? Once I stopped thinking about C# and Kafka. Also this, yeah, you're potentially gonna change this. So the create, whatever that create is, yeah. What that might be is, depending on what answers DTO looks like. Answers DTO create is just answers create. Answers create is, where is answers? Model answers. Yeah, you've got dependencies jumping back and forth there. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is your constructor. Essentially, your values set on that. Participant user B, this B, post, this test, serverless DTO. Right. I fake, create, turn, right. Given create, when. Gotcha. Okay. Right. I mean, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, the beauty of software development is there's no perfect answer, right? There's no, I'm right, you're wrong. There is, do you understand the code you're working with? And if you do, can you explain it simply? And if you can't, then reflect on how to relay that in a different way, right? Um, when it comes, like I said, when it comes to things like DTOs and aggregates, then those are overlapping terms with other people. And what you might find is that you struggle to convey the concepts of the code because they have a differing understanding to the core of what those things are. So I would avoid things like DTOs unless they are DTOs, right? I use DTO a lot when I was doing PHP. I haven't done it so much in C#. I did when I began. I just don't like appending something that a resharper complains at me for. So if I do DTO in lowercase, it works. D capital D lowercase to, it works, but it reads funny when it's DTO because it is a data transfer object. But then resharper says, "Oh, it's all capitals. You should lower the T and the O." So it's more of a frustration in that. You're more comprehensive than I guessed. Okay. Well, good luck with the have fun with the meeting, and we'll speak again soon. And post whatever you need in the Discord. No worries. Glad it was helpful. Thanks, Doctor. Okay. Yeah, take care. Okay, so let's get to Saturday lunch. That is now Tuesday dinner time. So, where were we? If anybody's in the chat that was listening to that at all and wants to know any more or has any more questions, feel free. Just there's 5 people viewing. I don't know if they're looking or not, but the stream is always about talking about code more than doing code. So, okay. So just gonna get my brain around where we were the other day when we left off. DDev project stream. DDev project stream. CD Saturday lunch. CD Saturday lunch because why not? Probably should start cracking. Okay. So, Docker Compose plus adding pizza. So on Saturday, what we did is we got Mongo, Kafka, and ElasticSearch containers, create an API to which you can post a pizza or can post a pizza, and it will post to a Kafka topic. So we did get those pieces up and running. We do have the Docker Compose file. So we create an Elasticsearch instance, a Kibana instance, Mongo Search, and what we were doing was we had Connect and we created our custom Connect image. But what we were finding was the plugin wasn't registered, so we couldn't use the tool conductor to communicate, to add a connector so that we could add data straight into Mongo. So we're going to start with Mongo and then move to Elasticsearch, I think it was. So where we were, right, so this is the default Kafka connector image. So if we go into cd install, we do docker compose, docker, I like the one, compose up-d. I didn't shut down properly last time, so that's on me. Docker ps-a, sure if it's running. So also I need to add a new command for this evening. Shoutouts, commands. That is that should work. There we go. Okay. Sorry, adding commands into the bot. Okay, so we have the components up, and we need to add the Mongo connector into our Connect instance. We're having trouble with this because it wasn't registering it properly, or it could have been. So what we do is it's easy to install the commands into a local Confluent platform installation, right? So, so the way this works. So if you've got if you've got Kafka platform, then everything's kind of interconnected and communicating. But we're not using platform; we're using just connect. But that doesn't stop us from, or that shouldn't stop us from being able to. So in the Kafka Connect, we still have to configure what the brokers are, right? So we still have a link to the brokers. And we've got 28082 as our port. I think that should be string converter, but we'll come back along on that afterwards. So what we need is this, right? So we've done this before, but let's do it again. So we're going to docker exec -it connect bash, right? So we're going to connect to the docker ps -a. Ooh, Kafka shut down. Docker compose down. Docker compose up -d. Let's see if they start up properly. Docker logs connect. Okay, that's done. Docker ps -a. What exited? Registration. Oh, this is the website. Okay, so because the container's still there, we're left with a container, which is okay. So let's go back and now connect to connect. There we go. So we have a connect. So we should be able to run this command, Confluent Hub install MongoDB Kafka connect MongoDB 1.4.0. Okay. That's the detailed information on how to configure it, but that's not what we need right this second. What we need right this second is connect RPM deb or where this tool is installed. Kafka. Sure, what I should do. It doesn't seem to be any examples of this, so I think I'm on guesswork here. So where this tool is installed, let's try that. Do you want to install this into user share Confluent Hub components? No. Specify installation directory. Let's try there. User local share Kafka plugins. Agree to the software license? Yes. Yes. Unable to create directory. So see if we do that. Exit that. Docker compose down. Hey Curious Tribe, how you doing? How's things? I saw you streaming today, but unfortunately I was working on stuff and couldn't really hang out. And I owe Ed Charbonneau a thank you. Kind of Docker. So I've been working. over the past couple of months, obviously, I've been spending a bit more time with Kafka on stream and doing all sorts of different pieces. And on Saturday, what I was trying to do, I may have lost the awesome diagram. No. Yeah, I lost the awesome diagram. Anyway, so what I'm looking into is publishing data through from an API or whatever into Kafka, then Kafka feeding that information out into Elasticsearch and a MongoDB at the same time, and then putting a layer on the other side and looking at what search looks like and how we should attack searching data versus retrieving data, and whether the two sources of the data optimized for different cases help the end result, or whether you should just use one and dump them in there. So right now I'm in Docker because I'm trying to make Kafka Connect. I'm trying to add the plugins into Kafka Connect to be able to feed data out automatically into, also I can install the connectors. So you don't have to write code to listen to the topics yourself. You can make Kafka Connect do that and then stream the data out in whatever format you desire into the relevant data source. So that is what we're looking at this evening for a little while anyway. So I just brought them down, Docker Compose up -D. Unfortunately, when doing this sort of stuff, it becomes a lot about Docker because I'm also learning more about these parts as well. What have you been up to recently? Anything good? Docker ps-a, so our containers are up. So now if we docker exec -it connect, then we're going to put bash in connect, and then we're going to do Confluent hub, and I'm not just making that up. You see, you can do Confluent hub help install MongoDB Kafka Connect MongoDB 1.4.0, which is the latest version. And then we're going to do 2. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. 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 So this is all the properties. As far as I know, this should be the registry that contains all the Kafka pieces. And then if we exit that and then Docker restart connect, that should restart the container and that plugin should be available. So we've been using a tool called Conductor, which is a tool for connecting to Kafka, and it's free if you only got one broker, which is good. And then we connect to this, and we'll see there's a connect. Oh, you don't have any setup connectors yet. So we have connect, but we don't have any setup connectors. So if we go to create, there's Mongo. Well, hold on. That's a Mongo source connector. That's not a database connector. I don't want that. I want this. I want a sync connector. Dash dirty. So this is what we didn't get working today. We didn't get them listing in here. So obviously setting that directory is fine. However, so if we do here and that, create connector pop-up, invoke, suspend. So we can go and do a Mongo source. So this is, you can feed data directly from Mongo into Kafka as well. So you can go bidirectionally. So you can source it or sync it. I want to sync. I do not want to source because I don't want a collection to be feeding data directly into. So you can set up the rules. So if you're watching a certain collection and you want all orders greater than $5 to make it out to Kafka so that something else can pick up and say, oh, there's an order for more than $5, let's do something. You can do it from here, create the connector, the source connector, and then you don't have to have business logic. Downside is you've got code inside of your Kafka nodes that you've got to figure out how to keep track of. I don't know if there's any version control or any tools around this yet to achieve that. But these are the things we learn. Okay, so that works if we do it that way. Let's just see if the Elasticsearch one works. So we go back over here, docker exec -it connect bash. And then we're going to do Confluent Club. A little bug's going in my room, it's bugging me. It's flying around. Install. And then we're going to install the Elasticsearch source for Kafka Connect. He hopes. This is actually a Confluent provided package. No, that's a custom provided package. So you can write your own as well for these. But this is what we're going to do. So we're going to do install Confluent Inc. Kafka Connect Elasticsearch latest. 2. Yes. 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 So that should be done. And I'm going to exit that. I'm going to docker restart connect. I don't know if that's necessary, but I'm just trying to be thorough and make sure that that's not a problem. If anyone has any questions, feel free. I'm having fun learning. Okay, so now when we create, there's our Elasticsearch sync connector. And there we go. Very cool. Okay, so here, what we need to do is give this a name. So this is the pizza search connector. One task, reload, topics. It's going to be pizzas because when we actually add a pizza in here, we actually publish it to the pizzas topic. So that's going to be our topics. We're not going to match on a general term. We're not going to transform anything. We're not going to do anything there. Connection URLs is going to be HTTP, Elasticsearch. We don't have any users set up, and Elasticsearch is on 9200. Right. What's Kibana using? HTTP Elasticsearch 9200. Okay. This is installing inside of the Connect container, which is a component of the Docker cluster, the Docker set. So they're all in the same network. So this name will resolve when it's not my machine. Ignore key mode. Ignore schema mode. Yes, we do want that. Proxy no. SSL no. Kerberos no. So we're not doing any sort of magic here. Data conversion proxy. If it's going to fail, it's going to fail on the key. Review and create, ignore scheme mode, create. Okay, so we have a connector. So now if we run this tool, and we try it out, and we copy that, let's go into Visual Studio Code. Name is going to be, this is going to be the magic pizza. It's going to have pepperoni, 23 pieces of pepperoni. It's going to have mozzarella. It's going to have 40 pieces of mozzarella. It's going to have tomato sauce. It's going to be light on sauce. It's going to have one sauce. Make it $14.99. Right? Obviously, our pizza is not going to set the world alight, but we'll go with that. Meat, cheese, and sauce. There we go. Okay, so now when we execute this, it should post that. Right? Now, that should end up in a topic called pizzas. And there should be one message in here, which is our pepperoni pizza, $14.99. Now, the challenge is, when we go in here, what happened? Tolerance exceeded in error handler. So, it couldn't pass the data. Right, because it was the key is not JSON, it's a string. I think that's what that is. So, are you sure you want to delete the following connector? No. Wow, that's a dangerous button. That is a dangerous button. Edit. So, key converter class and value converter class. This is what I actually needed. Right, so what I need to do is take this, and this is our value converter, and this, and that's our key converter. Next. Update. Okay. Restart connector. Okay, so let's do that once more. Let's see if that works. This time we're going to add cheddar. There's going to be less cheddar. There's going to be no meat. Actually, there's going to be peppers, not pepperoni. And that's two. 2 peppers we'll go for. Okay. Task failed, task running. Let's see. Did that fail to fail, or did that? So we have topics. We have a pizza topic. There's 2 messages in there. We go in there, and we have two pizzas. But if we go to HTTP localhost 6214, is that Elasticsearch, or am I just completely making numbers up? 5601. Yeah, 2614, 6214 sounded right. Dismiss that. Manage index management. Integration. Okay, so there's no, it did not insert any data there, because otherwise there'd be an index management there to deal with. When you go into manage here, index patterns, I either believe it puts something there, because these are things that it's got in it that it just doesn't know how to read, or index management, and there'd be data here under the pizzas thing. So we've still got a problem there, right? We've still got a connector, but restart all tasks. Configuration, view JSON, Schema, there's another thing I'm missing somewhere. So if we go to the Docker logs connect, right, we'll see the error in here, I think. I think there's a thing I'm not telling it to do. Schema and payload. Yeah, I'm not telling it to ignore the schema properly. So there's another piece in there. Value converter. There's like there's a three. Where is it? Schema, ignore, Kafka connect. I'll know it if I see it. That's the challenge right now. Which it's like value.converter.schema false of schema's false. Value.converter.schema. So schema ignore true is fine, but there's edit, data conversion, topics, dropping line behavior for null, write method, ignore key mode, ignore schema modes, topic.schema. Where is it? Don't see it. Data conversion. I remember it being in the message last time. It actually told me what the actual thing. JSON confirms the schema enable requires schema and payload fields and may not contain additional. Right. So what I've got to do is tell it to ignore the. It's got JSON, but it doesn't need to worry about schema in the JSON. So Confluent, Kafka and stuff is kind of hand in hand with Avro, and schemas are a big part of those pieces. I haven't learned about Avro yet. I keep avoiding it, but schemas that enable false in your converter configuration. So I think schemas.enable equals false converter. If I see the setting, I'll know it. I just gotta see it. Value converter schemas enable equals false. There we go. I think it's that. There we go. Okay, so one topic being monitored in Connect. That's now in good shape. So now if we go over to to ElasticSearch, he says with confidence, you should see data. There we go. So now we have pizzas. We have two documents in the pizzas. And we can reload it. Let's see if we can manage an index. How do we do this? Your data is not secure. But people might create an index pattern. Here we go. Okay, so pizzas. Next step, short advanced settings. Yeah, it's fine. Ingredients.name, ingredients.quantity. That's fine. Index patterns, index management. So now we have so we've got an index pattern. So now if we go back to our here, search, hold. Where do we do this? Index patterns, we got pizzas. Index management. Got 2 documents. How do I do this? Stat management. Just. Thank you. How you doing? Good evening. So we have pieces. Okay. That ID is pretty impressive, but the UID is in there, which is fine. We probably have to serialize the ID differently. But now we do have that, so we could add search on this. So quantity, ingredients.quantity greater than, is it that? 20. Yay. So you're not going to get gig internet. Nice. Congratulations. I'll make all your projects that much easier, I suppose. Oh, we go for hour and 30. Okay. Competition moved in. I assume you mean like for the internet thing, not your project, because that would be bad. Still getting your footing. Same thing here. Yeah, we're on Verizon Fios. Comcast lowered their prices and improved their speeds the moment that Fios was a more viable alternative here. So yeah, fun. Okay, so we've got 2 pizzas, and we can go and add another one just to prove it's working in real time. We can add this can have anchovies, 6 anchovies, and so I'm not worried about the quality of the search right this second, more that the data's getting fed into search, and we can kind of concern ourselves with that afterwards. Name is what else do we want on pizza? Mushrooms, because why not? Quantity is 4-ish mushrooms. But now if we go back to our ElasticSearch, we should be able to refresh mushroom, and our other pizza should be there, our magic pizza 3. So you've got peppers, cheddar, tomato sauce, pepperoni, mozzarella, tomato, mushrooms, anchovies, peppers. So data is automatically, well, not automatically, it's flowing between from Kafka, and without adding any extra development, we can create the connector and link it straight out. No, this is the program. Did you see Saturday's stream? Were you in there? So basically, okay. So what I did on Saturday is I started looking at how you might build search and data stores, and how they might. I'm trying to think about the wording before, so I'm not answering my own question. If I want to search an application, I want to be able to see if the right thing to do is to create a data store that holds the data in the right form, so I can retrieve it and display it quickly, and a search index that's built around finding data in that form, that work independently. They're sourced independently. They're not like the set of the tools. and I can just search in my application and pull up something very quickly and display all the information about it without actually having to join and query and do all sorts of funky things. So this will lend into Pizza as a Service. This is kind of an offshoot, right? This is Saturday lunch, and it's just an experimentation. So basically, I created an API that adds a pizza, right? So you add the pizza, and then what I've done is I've configured a set of containers. So I've configured an Elasticsearch and Kibana, Mongo, a MongoDB, a Zookeeper, a broker, and a Connect instance. Now in the Connect instance, I'm installing the connectors for Mongo and Elasticsearch. I'm using Conductor here to register with Kafka Connect. The problem is the Mongo one doesn't work here. The connectors so you can sync from a database into Kafka, or from Kafka into a database, and that's what I'm doing here. So I've configured an Elasticsearch connector that now whenever I feed data into the pizzas topic, it will serialize the data and add it into Elasticsearch. It'll deserialize it, and push it into Elasticsearch. Now I can also add one in theory for Mongo. So that means that whenever I add a pizza in my system, I'm just going to say publish pizzas. So I publish the latest pizza to the topic, and the connectors automatically put it into the right data stores for me, right? However I've configured those connectors. I don't have to write extra programs. I don't have to start up extra services. This is all running as part of Connect. It can scale independently. I can increase workload on these and whatnot. From there, once I've got it feeding into both data sources, I want to write a website interface that then searches using Elasticsearch, but then returns the data through Mongo. When I have a search result, I go pull it from Mongo. Because I want to discuss that part. All right, so I'm doing a whole ton of pieces that I've not done before. I've not done this Connect stuff through Conductor before. I've had one connector working to push data through into Elasticsearch once a couple of weeks ago. But basically, I want to discuss that part. I want to discuss, okay, now we've got this, what do we do with it, and what is a normal application way of dealing with this, because I don't feel that is a very clear answer. Right, so we have our things here. We have the app up and running. We can stop running that right this second. Right, so we have we've created our Elasticsearch index. We can add pizzas in there. They'll be straight in here without any extra connectors, without any extra pieces. Now we need Mongo, but the problem is Mongo. If we go back to Connect and go here, if we go to the Mongo sync connector, we get error creating null. Error creating connector null. MongoDB connect sync connector error creating. Yeah, but it's sync configuration, MongoDB collection. So what they do say is you can go in here and say in this create from JSON, right? Go into this connector, action, edit, update from JSON. Can I export as JSON? to JSON. There you go. That's what I need. Okay. So that allows me to save those in a data store, I assume. Right, I can commit them so that I can restore them. That's the benefit. Okay, so let's go over here and go back here and say create. I'll do this. I'm going to create from JSON. Right. I probably just need to do something like this. Let's do JSON. How to do it? Format document. It's kind of messy, but I get it. Right. So in this instance, right. So we have these. They're fine. So they're saying they have topics. That's pizzas. Collection would be pizzas. Database would be SearchDB. Connection URI. Let's do connection.uri. HTTP. And then because we're connecting here, we can do MongoSearch 27017. And Mongo source connector is it. No, it's a sync connector. Kafka connect. Com MongoDB. Kafka connect. Mongo sync connector. All right, so we're trying to send it in. So let's see if this works. Create from JSON. Import. Null pointer exception. Create connector pop-up. I think we've got everything we need though, that's the problem. Database required. Okay, so database is required. Database is SearchDB, that's fine. Actually, that's pizza store. Call it. NoSQL Manager for Mongo. We need another database connect. No. Server. New MongoDB connection 20.7.1.8. Test connection. Database. Create new database. Pizza store. So, as always, questions, thoughts, opinions on this. Always open to ideas. So because I run the bot on 27017, the bot is backed by Mongo. This is to make sure that I don't overlap with that. Okay. So I'm going to make sure the database is there just to see if that makes a difference, but I don't think it will. I think it should create the database. That source MongoDB. It's not a source, it's a sync. Let's go back here. Create from JSON. Import. So it's not the only way in. Let's see. Not now. That's never a good sign when you know your tool's good when that happens. Oh. Okay, I'm just going to be right back. Some food arrived, and I'm getting kind of hungry, so I'm going to be right back. I'm going to run an ad, and yeah, I'll be back in a few. Okay. Sorry about that. Planning for pizza made me hungry. And food arrived, so. So I'm not seeing anything here. Maybe that. Maybe I screwed that part up. But there's nothing in that other thing that suggests that it's going to work. No. So this isn't the only way of registering this, right? There is another way. Oh, I've got 2 in there. I just want to double check every time because it's, yeah, okay. But see, this isn't even trying to, the tool is not even trying to get to connect. When I'm erroring there, it's not connect that's erroring, right? The tool is. Looks like some, yeah, we probably could get the byte deserializer. And get that key out. Right, but we don't need to panic about that right this second. So apparently we can fire this at connect without whoa. Six-figure dev. Thank you very much for the raid. I will put that food away for a second. Welcome, Raiders. I'll give you a minute just to get through any ad. Although they should have been off. Good evening. How are you doing? How was the stream this evening? What were you doing this evening? Well, welcome, Raiders. Okay. Uno. Okay. I saw the email about that. I'm pretty certain. Uno is the Xamarin style framework we looked at when we were looking at mobile stuff, if memory serves. Or the extension, yeah. I'm not even going to pretend I understand all the pieces there. I just know it's associated with Xamarin in some form, way, shape, or form. So forgive me. That's cool. So I'm a little bit stuck at the moment. I'm thinking through connectors. So this evening, what I'm looking at is investigating architecture from using Elasticsearch, Kafka, MongoDB. What we've got working this evening so far is we can feed data through Kafka. And instead of writing our own consumers to pull the data out and put it into Elasticsearch, we've created a Kafka connector, which will feed the data out, and we can add a pizza and have it appear in the index for us. The ultimate goal here is I want to investigate the design of, okay, well, I want to give my users the fastest possible way of searching for data, but I also want to be able to retrieve the data quickly. Is storing that data in two forms an acceptable method? And can we provide a nice quick search with a nice quick retrieval without too much effort? So what I'm investigating to begin with is, okay, using Kafka connectors, I can say, okay, well, I want to squirt data into Elasticsearch, and I want to take that data and put it into MongoDB at the same time, right? I can manipulate that data. I can reform that data if I want to. I can do other things with it. I can transform it in all manner of ways. At the Kafka level, at the Mongo level, etc. Can I now take that and create a really fast system where I want to search for how many orders have tomato sauce, how many orders have mushrooms, etc. And the search index can be built to speed that search up, but then also retrieval of that data. The search index isn't the quickest way to get that data back out because that is optimized for the search. So can I then turn around with an ID and say, I want that record, and pull that record out and have a quick display of that data that I know is lined up and is correct as the search index. I haven't done that before, and it's something I want to understand the pros and cons of, if there's other ideas. So I'm trying to get to the point where we can have more of a discussion around it rather than me actually saying, this is the way you should do this. That is not anything like what I'm intending to do. So what we've got so far this evening is a whole ton of windows open. So when we try it out here, I have a sample. So let's say we have the wonderful pizza, and it has chicken, it has bacon, it has ranch, and it has onions and peppers, because I don't like my stomach very much. And this feeds into a larger project of Pizza as a Service, which is an investigation of distributed systems, microservices, you know, all the different tools involved in that, and again, more discussion. It has one ranch sauce. We don't want too much ranch sauce, ranch dressing. So we can take this, let's give it a different price, just so we can ultimately search on this, and we can paste this in here, and we can execute that. And now, without writing any extra code, etc., we should be able to go over to our Elasticsearch index and see that there are now 4 documents, right? And there we go. There's our wonderful pizza here. All right, and we can see there's our ingredients, and yeah. So all that is a connector plugged into Kafka Connect. When it sees the topic pizza's got a message, it takes that message and throws it out to an index in Elasticsearch. So, yes. So what I'm trying to work on right now is adding that same data into MongoDB, just in the exact same form for now. But the challenge I'm having is the tool conductor refuses to work with the Kafka, the MongoDB Kafka connector. So we're going to try and use the Connect API to register the connector, because the connector, the tooling is installed. It's just I need to tell it to use that. So if there's any questions, any thoughts or opinions on what I'm doing, feel free to shout them out. This stream is not meant to be a hey, look at me code. This is the right way. This is meant to be a stream about learning, growth, and discussion along the way. So what I'm looking for right now is I need to know what URL I should feed Connect Kafka Connect API REST add connector Connect REST interface Connect cluster schema registry API reference connectors get post. Okay, so here we go. Here's a connector. So this is what we want to do. We want to post to that URL 28082. So we want to post to HTTP localhost 28082 / connectors and application JSON is a content type. And accept, yeah, that's fine. So if we send that, what does happen? Error code 500, message null. So we've got the logs over here. Uncaught exception in REST call to connectors. Exception in monitor threadable connected to server Mongo search 270. Oh, it tried to do it. It's just I can't get a URL. 017. There we go. Okay, so now over here, there's our MongoDB. Edit. So the tooling will not support the actual thing. So great. So I assume we can now get. We put. Okay, so we can now update the put, right? So we can update Mongo connector. this would be a put. To HTTP localhost 28082 connectors that /config. And we're going to put that in as JSON again. So now when we want to update it, we can put that in there. Okay. So 17. So it's inside it's 27017. Externally it's 27018 because I have a running instance of Mongo already. Okay. So what we're trying to post is we're trying to say, okay, we want to get the pizzas collection, the pizzas topic, and from that we want to take, we want to put the data into the pizza store with pizzas. And I think what I do need here is that byte converter. I need the byte key converter. I do not need the byte deserializer. I think. So I don't think that's Kafka connect byte converter key dot converters and serialization. Avro protobuf string JSON JSON schema byte array. I think he says that that's what I want. Right, so it loaded it, but let's see what happens. So it's still erroring. JSON converter with schemas enabled requires, because I've got the same problem I had before. I have so we have this from before, right? Value converter schemas enable false. We need to tell it that there's no schema on the actual data object because we're not trying to validate this. So Avro can come in and it can actually validate all the data. So you cannot actually post invalid messages into your topics. We don't care, right? So what I need to do is this. Now this might not be it, but it will be a step forward, I think. And this is the exact same error we got before. So if we go here and say restart, Mongo sync connector. Okay, so they're both running. So now if we go here, we have pizzas, we have a key, and we have, there we go, 4 pieces, right? So it started right at the back at the beginning. Now, each one has its ID, which is not this, which is weird. So the byte, that's the bytes of this GUID, I think. It's not converted quite the same. But either way, that's neither here nor there right now. But we do have data feeding in here. So we should still be running. So we should be able to go over here and add chicken and bacon. Let's add, we need some vegetarian options in our pizzas. The vegetarian pizza. We're going to have peppers. We're going to have onions. Not too many because we don't want to. We're going to have mushrooms. 4 because mushrooms. We're going to have sweet corn. My example of building pizzas is not exactly the most advanced idea in the world, but quantity has no meaning. It's just a field. We're going to charge $15.99 for that. And now we get here. Now we should be able to go over to this and refresh this. Get 5 documents. And here we should be able to reload this and have 5. There you go. There's our vegetarian pizza. So all we've done is added the connectors. We do not need any extra tooling. We just have them. Any thoughts, questions before I continue? Take a break. Did I put that in? Take a break. Hello, Bible. How you doing? I'll gladly do that, being that I do actually have a sandwich to eat. I would love a Kit Kat. Fortunately, it costs a fortune to import them, and I don't like the US ones. Huh. New flake. Ooh. It cost me about £8 for 4 flakes. I have to order them and get them shipped. So, yes. Orange flake though. Yeah. Well, I generally, what I do is I go nuts and order a load of stuff for Christmas. But, yeah. What's funny, by the way, is I'm actually eating a chicken and bacon and ranch sandwich. So, I didn't think of that before. Mm-hmm. Yep. Hey, Ackman. Do I have a pull it report? Yes. Which I'm about to push. I'm going to have to add some instructions, though, before that. So, our primary project, which this is a offshoot of, as said, you can do !pizza in the chat for the link to that. This, all projects I do on stream, for the most part, live in the TBD Friends repository. This is Saturday lunch. So what I'll need to figure out is how to script out the registration of the 2 connectors, because they are, I've not done scripting in here before, but what needs to happen is, so much environment, yeah. What needs to happen is when Connect starts up, it needs to say, okay, now use the Confluent Hub and register the 2, the MongoDB and the Kafka and the ElasticSearch connectors, Connect plugins, right? And then we need to register the actual connectors themselves, right? Nice. You're welcome. If there's any questions, any thoughts or opinions on this, if you're trying to learn from this or you're trying to, see how I might approach it or whatever, the Discord is always open. I keep an eye on that all the time, so I'm more than happy to talk about this stuff. Terraform lets you RM minus RF your infrastructure. Sorry. Yes. Ooh. Yeah. Well, this is the issue. So right now, I'm learning this on the fly, right? But tomorrow, if I was to turn around and say, I'm going to deploy this in production, I can't deploy this in production. I have no idea what most of these configurations do. I've got to learn so much about not only the Docker components, but I've got to learn about all these pieces, why I'm using these things, what the best optimization of this is. There's so many more questions. And if I rush out and put this into production, because it kind of works, right? So traditionally what I would have done is I'd have created 2 new services, and we've done this before in Pizza as a Service or other projects. I'd create 2 new services, one for listening for the pizza to go into Elasticsearch, and one for putting it in Mongo, right? Well, this is done, but am I using it accurately? Is it the right thing to do? Is there downsides? Is there benefits that I'm missing? There's so much more to learn. I'm not even developing right this second. All I'm doing is feeding data through. The development in this project instance has been done, and I now need to take it on to the next step. But someone would have to look after this all the time and keep an eye on this. The developers can't be that person. Or is this imposter syndrome in real time? I know what I've done, right? I clearly understand enough because you've watched it. I deliberately have not touched this off stream. I don't prepare. I don't go off and read a ton of stuff in between streams so that I might be, better off next stream, which sometimes leaves me feeling a bit more vulnerable because I'm like, I could look like a complete idiot. But the reality is you're seeing my process. Right, I may be close, but to manage this properly and effectively, day to day, to make sure it's optimized, to make sure it's scaling and it's dealing with load, etc. It's nobody sees my process. Your process is a lot bigger though. And there's only so many things we can each take on before we are spread too thin. Right? You can only do so much, and then if you're trying to be helpful to your employer, and you're like, oh yeah, I've got this cool tool, it'll help us, and believe me, I've said these exact words, right? This is cool. This will help us. This will benefit us in major ways because we can do more with it now. We can do this and we can do this and we can do this and we can do this. But the problem is when you get taken up on that offer, you're going to dedicate your evenings and weekends to doing it. You're going to dedicate, we need this maintained. We need to add more processing power here, and we need to take this data and move it over to this place and this place and this place. But I'm a developer. I'm going to be developing. Now I'm maintaining. You just spread a little bit too thin. I guess my last stream showed my process to usually create a small proof of concept. That's always a good idea, right? You don't want to just start on the actual project. You need to prove the ideas out. And POCs are... yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I do that all the time. You saw me do that before, Delta. The moment I had to explain something, new console app, it's the best way of getting your brain around something. You're not getting 100-inch TV. I've measured. If we go much beyond the 75-inch TV that I want, we won't have any windows. We don't have a wall for a 100-inch TV. Well, we do, but we need a couch. So, besides, Viable was talking about it for use as a screen to show all the operations center information. So I need it in here. Okay. I wonder how close Kafka usage is to production. In what format? You mean in terms of what I'm doing here, how close it is to actually how people deploy it, or? Right. Well, I think we all prove day to day. You know, there's nothing too difficult to learn. It's just you have enough time and patience to learn it. And just while I'm chatting, what do you want to do? That. Anyone who wants Kubernetes, just install Rancher 2. It's difficult in testing stuff. Huh. I'd imagine any infrastructure is hard to test. Because you only get to do it once for real. Unless you've got good resources and it doesn't cost you a fortune to spool up demonstration instances. What's Rancher 2? It's great when the tooling that helps you get your software out there quicker requires tooling to make that software simpler to get your software out there quicker. Hosted Longhorn K3S. What's K3S? costs 3 beers to me. Tools for your software. Yeah. K2S. Lightweight certified Kubernetes distribution built for running production workloads inside IoT appliances or at the network edge. I want to develop software that has buzzwords in it. So I come up with my own buzzwords. Rancher for the cloud. Rancher for branch. Wow. No, I know. Saying I want to be so cool that I actually have to come up with there's new things and terms I invent just to describe how cool and unique my stuff is. No, there was no pricing. It's call us. We'll sort you out. Because there's different products, right? It's hosted. Contact us. Yeah. That, I assume dark mode. Oh no, hold on, pricing. Request pricing. Hey Frank, how are you doing? Pricing, if you have to ask, is too much. Okay. That page is useful. Drag it up there. I don't want to put it in Pinterest. Ugh. Okay. How you doing, Frank? Okay. So, I've been derailed and I've been told to take a break. The break was good because I got to eat the sandwich and we got to chat. Again, as always, if anybody has any questions about what we're doing, about, you know, oh, it creates a group for it. Okay. So, what we've got working so far is, we're now going to go to Art Corner because I lost my wonderful drawing from Saturday, and I'm very disappointed. Right. We have an API, right? And we feed that out via Kafka. Right. Now, what I'm aiming for is an application on the other side And yes, I do know that I have draw.io, and yeah, I know, but this is easier for me right this second. My artistry is evolving, right? So what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to search and retrieve data in the application. Now, what I'm investigating here, and it's an investigation. It is not a design. It is not here's how to do this. This is a, if you have an opinion on how it should be done, then feel free. So what we've done so far is we've actually got Kafka to feed out through Connect into Elasticsearch. And just for reference, on Saturday, I actually drew these rather than type, and into Mongo at the same time. So we have a Mongo collection and an Elasticsearch index on pizzas at the same time, right? Without adding any extra tooling, we've just added Connect with registered the connectors. And we've gone here and added the Mongo connector, then updated the Mongo connector. And we can do the same. We can actually add these ourselves without having this tool at all, right? And what these are doing is these are feeding that data into the relevant data stores and storing it appropriately, right? It's just taking that document and storing it, and in both cases. Well, that's a different problem. So now what I want to ask is, right, if I develop an application over here and I want to search data, right? So my primary goal is search, right? But then I want to return my data, and I'm deliberately kind of leaving these unconnected, right? And render it on the UI, right? The search index and the data that I need, right? Your search index is optimized for search, right? Well, this looks like a key. Yeah. Oh dear. There you go. Oh no. Oh, like that. Okay. Yes, I saw that, and I've actually seen the updated Amazon logo on my my phone. So anyway, yeah, I actually didn't see it until they pointed it out, and I'm like, oh yeah, so okay, I suppose. I don't know where ancient coder is again. Hope they're okay. API feeds data, pushes it into a topic, goes to Connect. Connect distributes that data to Elasticsearch and Mongo, because there's processes running that take that same stream and push it out to both. Then from the application side, so imagine the application here is not just, it's kind of the UI side and the API side of the application, right? My thought is, if I make a request to search from the UI, right? The search index can be optimized to be data that I can have a search term on it, and when it matches, it will show me that term, right? So this is what it would display like. So if I'm searching for pizzas with tomato sauce, then I would see, the whatever pizzas have the tomato sauce and their names. When I click one, I need all the ingredients and stuff back. So when I click one, do I make a separate request to get the data from Mongo, which is also optimized to in the right format? Right now, it's the same object, right? But how do you do this? How do you think this works, and how do you think you make this faster and make this more because I've not done this before. Might go to single out all things. So do you feel? Does my question make sense? Is the first step out, obviously. Okay. 1 second. We've got that. It's that time of the day where we get the request again. Okay. Okay, so do I dupe the data into ES is kind of the question, but have you designed an app that does this before? So normally what I've done is I've written an application that has a SQL Server backend, and I want to search, I search against the SQL Server, right? I index the tables appropriately, or I create a full text search, which I hate, and that's the search index, and then I return the objects, the data from the same database. And I feel that's inefficient. What I want to explore, and this is why this is a prototype before it goes into an actual thing in Pizza as a Service, is I want to explore the concept of, okay, there's more you can do in Kafka, by the way. So what we can actually do is we can create streams in Kafka so that a topic can come in and then be transformed into other things. So if we published ingredients and we published the pizza and we published prices, etc., we could actually create a view that the Mongo connector would listen to and stream into Mongo an actual already transformed viewable object, right? But the ElasticSearch stuff would allow us to search on more appropriate fields. We can transition, we can actually transform them so they actually are feeding from different topics. For how about both? For search, fire off 2 requests to ES and Mongo to see who wins. It's not about who wins, it's about your search scenarios, right? What do you want to do with search, right? If I'm trying to get the fastest, and I'm only using pizza, which may be a weak example for the search thing, because it's in line with the Pizza as a Service application. Obviously, there's larger needs there. We might want to add search into we might want to add search into accounting. We might want to add search into all manner of things. What does that look like? So at this stage, right, we have data in Mongo, we have data in Elasticsearch. So if we actually had stop this running. Why is it? Oh, you're downloading Windows updates. Okay. Well, we're almost to that point anyway. Yes, would only be a search platform. I would not dump data right in. I would sanitize, since search I feel should be structured. Just taking in raw data will give you weird results. Since when you search, you'll always be searching on all fields in Elastic, and that would degrade the performance from being more structured. Yes. So I kind of leading that direction in that what I want to do is optimize the data for the search. But then when I want to get the actual object for display, I can go to Mongo where I can store a display ready version. And I don't have to do any joins. I don't have to do any sort of complex querying. I can say, that's the thing I want. All right. Now there's still other things I might want, but what I'm trying to explore is as a design, does that work? So my use case here, or the use case in the Pizza as a Service larger example, right, is, okay, we have the menu, we produce the menu, but we also want to search on the menu, right? And then we want to display the menu, right? If I want to find all, I don't want to have a MongoDB instance where I'm searching the text fields of the Mongo, because it's not optimized that way. But if I've got a search index built in ElasticSearch that is optimized, so I can say, I want to find all pizzas with tomatoes in them, right? I should be able to see those pizzas, and then the results that show in the screen should be the list of pizzas, right? So I might take the list of results and then go to Mongo and say, give me these objects, and then send them down to the client. Alternatively, I might say, from the actual client, I want to find tomatoes in a pizza. It lists the defaults, and then you click on the pizza, and it then goes and gets the Mongo record. Well, search, again, this is the prototype. This is the thought experiment to see what we can do. And then we look at a larger version of it in Pizza as a Service. And look at AWS billing much. I think Azure billing updates once a day. I don't think that updates in real time. So I would imagine it would be similar. Eventually consistent. Your bill is an aggregate of all the events that happened. Hey, C Films, how you doing? I'm doing great. How are you doing? I'm doing great. Me too. I'm doing great. I could spin down the site and then spin it back up. Yeah. Tens of dollars. Ouch. If you can leave it up. Why did I choose MongoDB? In this case, it's just a technology I've used before. I've used a Docker container for Mongo, and it's just a database for documents that I can use to kind of serve my example. This is not a how-to stream. This is a why stream. We're kind of exploring a little bit. I'm trying to think through how some of these pieces would come together. So what you can do is with Mongo, you can install KSQLDB, and you can transform streams. We've looked at that before. right? So you can take a topic and transform it on the fly into something else. I haven't quite figured out how that works if you're trying to combine different pieces of data. And obviously the connectors are kind of simple. We can transform, we can filter, I believe. So there is no that when, how, who stream. Not quite sure I follow that. Okay. Yeah. So we have a larger project on stream that we've been working on before, right? So we have the Pizza as a Service project. And this Pizza as a Service project is a large scale project that we kind of worked on to discuss the pros and cons of different technologies. So we're kind of exploring, okay, if we break up a pizza organization, so a larger scale, obviously not just a little mom and pop shop, but you have these different areas, again, avoiding DDD for the purpose of, I'm not a DDD practitioner. So we kind of introduced Kafka into the menu component, and we introduced Mass Transit and RabbitMQ into the website through to the accounting system, so that we can register accounts and we can push to marketing. The menu system is a published thing. This is a menu. There is no a menu was added, a menu was updated. The rest of the system does not care about those things. The system cares about, there's a menu, right? So we use Kafka in this piece. And what we're trying to explore right now is kind of, if we publish a menu and we want to search on that menu in the website, right, then the website can consume that, obviously, but searching on it is not optimal. So how do we make an optimal search system? So what we're kind of going through is the pieces of Kafka to allow us to take the same topic, so the menu topic in the case of Pizza as a Service, and break that out as different data sets, and then use those different data sets appropriately. So when we search, optimal might, yes. There could be a tipping point where Mongo is no slower or it is way quicker than Elasticsearch. I realize that. Well, MongoDB is a document database, so its data is flattened. You don't really do. I mean, you can use relations in Mongo, kind of, but I wouldn't do it. I've not really touched creating joins. In Mongo. So what I want to avoid is a whole load of joins, right? So typically a SQL server, let's say you have a menu, right? A menu has items. Items have ingredients. Those would be different tables with different joins, etc. Now they'd be key joins, so it wouldn't be too terrible. But then every time you want to get a list of the menu, every time you get a menu, you have to go and say, okay, now select star from menu, join items, join ingredients, join prices, join, etc. And you end up with this rather large query. If I'm just displaying things, I'm not maintaining things here, then why not create a read-only version in real time that I can just pull, right? So if I say I want the menu, I get the menu with all the items, values, ingredients, etc., optimized for that scenario, right? So I get the quickest possible view. Now, if that data changes, somewhere else manages that, right? The menu system is managed through the menu system, not through the website, right? The menu system says this is now good. It publishes that. That's what the menu looks like now. So the data we're displaying, we're not adding to that data all the time. Kobe Sean, thank you very much for the sub. 7 months. Thank you. I appreciate it. Is the pizza project too big? The pizza project is too big. We're never going to finish the pizza project. The pizza project is not intended to be finished. The pizza project is a large-scale system that we can discuss, and you can run off and add and tinker with whatever you want to do in that project. If we use technologies on the stream, we can apply it to that concept. We can familiarize ourselves with the domain as it stands so that we're using the same language, and it gives us a kicking off point for future projects. It's not intended to be finished ever, or even close. Yeah, I did that. Terrible data visualization. This is kind of both the working diagram and the documentation, by the way. So my apologies. So the constraints, Dota, are really constrained by when we don't want to work on it, right? There's no intention of ever finishing it. RDBMS already do this type of cache validation. But you require yeah, I guess for me a finish date motivates me. It does. But when we kind of began this process, it was because, you know, we've done a lot of projects on stream. We've started many things. I've ended very few of them fully. And that's because obviously I realize there is always a tipping off point, right? There's a point at which I get so I stream to interact. I stream to discuss this stuff, and I stream to learn and grow, right? That's what I do. There's a point at which people show no interest. So there's no benefit in me taking every project to finish on stream, because people get bored long before it's actually done. So the idea of this project is, if you want to go and tinker with this, you've got a design that we've all discussed. Therefore, if you have questions or thoughts on designs and opinions on things, we have a reference point, right? So we can refer it back to something, and we can investigate things in the context of pizza as a service, right? And people talk about this stuff all the time, but people don't always do this stuff either, right? Microservices, distributed systems, search, as we're just discussing now, they're not always done, and they're not done right, or they're not done the way others might think they're done. So this is kind of a useful tool. 1990 rule. Do you game a lot? Quite a bit. I do like games. I'm fond. I have a large collection of games. Are we saying search is going to be a platform infrastructure detail? Platform/infrastructure detail. Not sure how I think about that. Is it a detail? Search is a fundamental component of the system. What I'm saying is, search, how we achieve search is one way, but search could actually have many uses across different systems, right? Search is a different thing. Each one of these systems, and again, this is not a microservice, this is not a microservice. This website could consist of many microservices. This accounting system could consist of many microservices, right, to achieve what that accounting category feels. So the search indexes, the search databases, they would not be cross either, right? These are essentially, not wanting to do it, but essentially these are bounded contexts, I believe, right? They are all independent components that have inputs and outputs from the outside world, but they all have their own concerns and behaviors, etc. I mean, if I search for menu, would I get details about billing menus? No. The idea would be the menus at this level would be menus. If menus were required to be searched from other places, like if orders or R&D needed menus to be searched, they would get their own versions of the menu to search. Is my belief. And I'm now going to look at this 1999. The 1990 rule is a humorous aphorism. I cannot say the word aphorism. Can science toast like on it? Oh, remember what expression? The first 90% of the code accounts for the first 90% of development and the remain toast. Yeah. Okay. Each boundary would handle its own search. How would I be able to do it in billing of the other menu pricing? No, billing would never be able to touch pricing. Right? Pricing would be a different concern. Right? Billing would only be so. Menus are menus. Accounting would deal with the costs of things. And it's not perfect, right? The domain isn't perfect. There's obviously some menus. Would pricing be a menu concern or an accounting concern, inventory concern? Because pricing would change, right? So pricing would constantly be moving. So inventory might track the menu items and tell us if a menu is getting too costly, right? Or if an item on a menu is now unavailable because we can't reach those things, then we might want to inform the menu system that an item is now unavailable, and we should remove it from the menu. Then the menu system says, okay, that item is unavailable, let's publish a new menu, right? Because then the inventory system actually doesn't need to care about that anymore. Potentially. Obviously it would, because it will want to tell us when it's available again, otherwise we just lost an item, but yeah. Well, you got to put the behaviors that will be associated with each, and again, it's probably the most DDD diagram I've ever drawn unintentionally. Yeah, what? Item.js search engine in JavaScript. Yes, my favorite place to be, JavaScript. ES front loading, normalized ES by ID, RDBMS, client-side search. Yes. Don't forget, this came from a discussion. This did not come from me just planning this out and plotting this out. This came from a stream where we discussed this and actually all put the items in here. So this was collaborative. If you have to say video, it might be faster on client side. Right. So you're talking about the scenarios where we want to, we don't want to throw a lot of technology at something if it can actually be simpler. If we just load 50 pieces down into the client, right? Well, scaling is its own challenge, right? Scaling is a whole different challenge. But yeah. And obviously those of you with recent infrastructure experience would have insight into that. But again, that's another area where something like Kafka, you have to scale it up, right? you have to learn how to do that properly. Let's just pack up our info into the client so they're all integrated by SignalR. Yeah, why not? Why not? So let's do this. We need I want to make this so that if someone wants to check this out and play with this, they can do, right? And see it working. So let's do, how do I write a script for Docker Compose that would execute when the container starts the first time, but not every subsequent time? Is that possible? Then we make a blockchain and everybody agrees pineapple. Well, pineapple pizza is great. The stream is pro pineapple. So basically what we want to do is, if we can pull the parts, never get to Pineapple Jones. It's funny, if you want to start an argument, most Twitch chats will trigger off Pineapple Pizza. It's hilarious. Each to their own. But most Twitch chats will blow up on the mention of Pineapple Pizza. Okay. Script. Docker. Startup. Kafka. Pose. So what we need to do. Oh. No, olives. No. Olives can go right back in the garbage. Yes. I miss British pizzas. They're not good pizza, but if you find a local kebab / Greek / Indian, whatever, pizza place, then you can get some really awesome combinations on pizza. And chicken tikka on pizza is delicious. Anchovies, yeah. I wouldn't put anchovies on. I don't like the fish on pizza necessarily. Tuna sweet corn pizza. Again, British pizzas. Okay, I need to figure this out. Okay, so before we start a war on pizza, which I didn't intend to start, and I really want to get this done. So, what I want to do is, I want to say, when we start up, I want to do Confluent Hub. How do I do that without answering the questions? Crap. Is it scriptable? Install through proxy. No prompt. Okay. Okay, we're having pizza discussions. Derailed. Kiwi on pizza. I don't think I've ever tried kiwi on pizza. You either need to wait for its psyche or replace the image with a Docker file. I eat fruit pieces, yes. Cemented jelly. My local pizza shop does Nutella pizza. That's dessert, but I mean that's basically a Nutella sandwich, just baked, I suppose. Philadelphia fruit pizza. What in the? It's from yumly.co.uk and it's Philadelphia fruit. What? What? Okay. Is it cold? Or is it's not baked? Oh, we're gonna. Are we moving into cake versus pie? We gotta be careful. So for anyone new to the stream, and the 5 people that left the moment we started this, derail means we just derail the stream and do whatever we want to do. Or whatever who derailed us talks about. On a cookie. Okay. Yeah, you're actually, but this is the second derail on the stream today, right? You all missed the beginning. I was asking a question legitimately on how to do something. I'd found what I thought was my answer, and then I got derailed. So, Philadelphia fruit pizza. I'm still fascinated by this. Cream cheese, sugar cookies, sugar, vanilla, 4 cups of fruit, apricot preserves, and a tablespoon of water. You actually bake? Oh, you bake the crust. Then you put the fridge stuff. Okay. Yeah, that might not be too bad, actually. Huh. Nice. A pizza MongoDB database. Pizza MongoDB database, yeah. I'm not forgetting what I was working on, C Films, don't worry. Cooking stream. Okay, so I'm going to refocus because I do want to finish this up. I am almost out of time and I want to eat the remainder of my sandwich. How to start MongoDB? So what I'm using for Mongo here is Docker. So this is how you get Mongo to work in Docker, right? And then I'm connecting using NoSQL Manager. And I'm putting it on 27018 because I have an instance running for the stream. I manage the stream through Docker. So we've got 27018 and we've got our pizzas in our MongoDB here. Mongo will install as a service on Windows. And it just installs it on MongoDB's got some pretty good support as well. No, not MongoDB Atlas, just MongoDB. Ooh, they're changing this. Oh, it's still Atlas. That's what it is. They really want me to go cloud. Community server. So you can download MongoDB and work with it locally. Do expect them to contact you Although I think now they're not putting it behind a login anymore. But they do try and get you to see if you want their help. No sound will come through this. Yeah, 4 times a day. Yep. And then they'll email you and say, we'll email you in 6 months and check on you. At which point you say, no, leave me alone. I'll talk to you when I've got the chance. Because not all the projects go the way we want them to go. MongoDB worth learning. I mean, I think every developer should look at tools beyond what they use every day, right? I think you should keep an eye on what is out there and what the differences are in what you need, because Mongo's old now. I don't know about 2002, but Mongo's been around for a long time. At least the past 15 years, I believe. I think if you're a developer, you should at least peek at the landscape from time to time and see what are the tools people are using. Fact check, you mean? Yeah. Yep. I am fat. Up 12 years ago. MongoDB Inc. was founded 12 years ago. So MongoDB's probably been around. Yeah, version 1 was February 2009. So it's 12 years. But it's probably been in development for a few years before that. And it's probably based off of the document DBs, etc. before it. Okay, so not 15 years. Almost. So is MongoDB worth learning? Yes, if you feel that, you're interested. It's a different way of approaching things. You can't take a SQL Server mentality at it and a SQL mentality at it and just run with it. Couchbase does a job that makes an effort to merge the two things. So Couchbase is kind of document database with a SQL layer above it these days. But I think every developer should spend some time keeping an eye on what is on the horizon. Have you used a graph database? No, I have not. One of the things I want to discuss, actually, thank you for the reminder. One of the things I want to discuss here is GraphDB, right? Because I'm starting to feel that actually might suit this in the longer term. But for right now, my focus is on this search versus data. But I think a GraphDB fits here. I think it would be nice to look into Cosmos DB. Yeah, but I'm not rich. Cosmos DB, just got to be more careful about, because cloud costs run out of control, right? I'm biased against NoSQL because I drink the RDBS Kool-Aid. And I think if you can get everything you need from your SQL Server, then fine. But I think you should still see if a design is better suited by a document DB. I don't think we should cut ourselves off from using. Now, there's obviously a balance, right? I don't think we should cut ourselves off from using different technologies to achieve our end goal. The challenge is, as we talked about earlier on, you have a workload problem, right? If you take on technology A, okay, you can juggle it, you can learn a bit more about it, you can maintain it, you can keep things going, and the company's better for it, right? But now you have technology B and technology C and technology D. Now, the application is lightning fast and everything's ticking along fine until there's a problem with one of those technologies. And the more you add, the more complexity you add, but you've made a lightning fast application that people are expecting now. So you got a bit more pressure to yourself. So you got to be careful with technologies. But I would say you should at least consider, if you've got an ops team, right? You're making it someone else's problem, so more people have to be involved. But I think you should consider technologies and look at them from the, what do they do well, and what problems do I have today that might fit. And I was talking to Dota earlier on in the stream about, just because something could, like, don't make it fit. Figure out what it does and then see if it fits later on. In the case of your own systems, you understand what they do. If you just, look at them from a different perspective, does another technology fit better? And I think you should always keep an eye on that thing so that you know what you're dismissing. 1 week into Vim. Have you got out yet? Oh no, it went wrong. Colon, exclamation mark, Q. Q, exclamation mark. Okay, I'm not going to get this done, am I? What I wanted to do is be able to push this up and make it so you could actually check it out and run with it. And I don't think I'm going to achieve that as much as I'd like to. So I was trying to figure out is how to script out the relevant pieces, and I've already built my website without frameworks and libraries. Some people say I should switch to a framework library. Is it worth it? Why did you choose not to use a framework or a library? Yeah, to get out of Vim, I turn off the machine and go to Best Buy and buy a new one. It's safer. When I originally built my website, I did not know about frameworks. Okay. So you've learned along the way. Now, if you look at a framework, you know what your website does. How does it compare? I mean, learning, if you are looking to be employed, then understanding what these frameworks offer you, right. Look at the frameworks, look at the tooling, look at what's on the horizon. Like I said, I think as a developer, it's part of your job to understand what is out there, because you don't want to stagnate ever. In software development, stagnation means you're one of the problems, right? Because you are making it harder for anybody else in the future to come along and work in what you've got, right? So if you're just going with what you know constantly, then eventually when the company needs more from it, you can't provide that, right? That doesn't make you bad. That doesn't make you, that makes you hard. Honestly, most of the people I've seen fall into that trap are just hard working and just put their heads down and get the job done. But you should look up and check on what's around you. I went from PHP to ASP.NET to Markdown. I like the quick way to add a blog article to the site. It was a pain before. Yeah. Yeah, actually, like, I do need to do more in that respect. But I do like the Markdown Jekyll thing. It's way simpler. But you shouldn't just use a framework because people are like, use a framework because you don't use a framework. You must use a framework. No. You understand it better than anybody else. And it's your website. If you were employed by somebody and you were building a website for them and you said, I'm not going to use a framework at all, I'm going to code this from the beginning, then I think that's a little bit problematic. I think in today's website landscape, depending on what you're building, choose the right tool. And don't try and invent things. What was it? Did we find this guy on the stream? The one that wrote everything themselves, but had never used Google or never used any frameworks whatsoever. Like wrote their own stuff from scratch for everything. I think. Huh? The name doesn't ring a bell, but yes, that's one of the people. Yeah, that. But no, it's not him I'm talking about, but similar sort of mentality. Thanks, Doctor. Yeah. Yeah, and as a technical challenge, that's fine. Understanding, we did get a raid earlier on. Yeah. JSON SQL and MySQL relation databases. So you probably are using, unless you're hard coding everything, you're probably using a driver to communicate with MySQL from PHP, which means you are using some frameworks, right? You are using some tooling to help because you're not writing your own underlying code to communicate with MySQL, right? And that's a common stack but you understand it all, right? You don't need to bring it in Angular. You don't need to bring it in React or CSS frameworks, etc. Yeah, but understand why is the key, right? Docker Compose. I want to do this, but I need to go. Docker Compose. Confluent Hub scriptable. That's what I was looking for. Yes. So what I was finding before was I was trying to do. This is roughly what I'm trying to do, right? So how do I execute these in here, right? So let's close this down. Oh no. I want Kafka conductor. I need the other one. Psst. Trying to learn something. So we're gonna edit this. We're gonna do actions. No, edit. Review and update to JSON. Okay, we're gonna take this. We're gonna go over here. We're gonna do new request, adding. This is adding the Elasticsearch connector. We're make that body. Can you format that? No? Okay. JSON. Yeah, so we got that. And then we're going to add that. That. Okay. So that saves them. Oops, this is VS Code. Does it need to be valid JSON? I don't know about valid JSON, but let's assist it a little bit. And yeah, so it's probably a way of doing it back there, but what fun is that? Okay, so we got that and that. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do is something like click everything all at once. I want to do something like this. How can I do that from here? So when the container starts up for the first time, it adds those connectors in there. So this script, without having to create an image and store it off somewhere, I can do this. Docker Compose. What? I call Docker Compose up. I'm trying to make this so you can check this out. Do Docker Compose up on this file and it will be ready. And then you can then just run these commands through whatever tool you want to use, and it will add them in there for you so you can do the connectors and then you can test it. I would clone repo and add run into the Docker file. But then I've got to create an image. I don't want to create an image. I want to make this so I can just check it out with the standard image and not have to worry about people worrying that I've done something with the image. Docker compose execute on startup. Point override, copy and then add your own. Seems like this shouldn't be impossible. Docker compose run web end. You could create a bash image that links with it and have a separate service that runs. It seems Okay, so they don't have. So they have like which looks like I can do that. Yeah, I'm trying to make. I was hoping to make this simpler, so that it's not difficult for anyone to just check this repository out and run it. As long as I document it, it feels like that should be necessary. It shouldn't be. It's yeah. Maybe just overcomplicating it, but I should. My thought was I should be able to do this, right? MongoDB, right, and then Connect Bootstrap servers Kafka 1982. Yeah, where? Huh? So this, it might not be started. Okay, well, let's give it a try and see what happens. But yeah, I'll see what the person that I'm looking at says. Yeah. Yeah, I can't do it. That's essentially, these are the commands I need to run on startup, right? Once it's started up, I need to run these so that it will, so I can document this out, right? Okay. I can always document it out if necessary. Command. Oh, there you go. That's what I want to do. Thank you. Thank you for the link. So we have command. So no prompt. Doing that always feels so dirty. Right, but I'm not. I appreciate that it might be dirty, but it's also, the aim is to allow someone to check this project out and run it without further learning. Right, so we have that. Okay, so now we still need to script these out. So these are unavoidable, right? We can't. We'll have to document these out. So if we add a new file, add new item, readme. Oh. Add existing project. Dev projects stream Saturday lunch, source. I just said new project, didn't I? Existing item. Is water plugin. A project to help understand more about how Kafka, Elasticsearch, Mongo all be friends. So we need to go to adding Mongo connector. So post post. Oh, it's the same URL. Post up -d. Say your old npm paint. Pineapple on their bash. I'm trying to indicate it's code. I don't think it is that, but we'll see. I'm not really panicked about the neatness of the README. I just want to kind of get the test done. So if we Docker compose down, right, all that's gone. Agree? Right, that's the beauty of Docker. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it so it's reproducible. What do you mean, no? I think creating volumes. Right. Starting container process called exec confluent hub install. Error response from daemon, however. No such file directory unknown. Herp. Oh, hold on. We need a bit more, don't we? Derp. We need to tell it to be in bash. Right. So we're actually saying, okay, and then we need the pipe. Launch the Kafka Connect worker. Yeah. Let's at least do that part. Don't exit. Why would we not exit? Let's see. I don't want to do anything we don't need to. Docker logs, connect. Line 104. Sleep Infinity. PID won't exist. So you think that is stopping that it's letting it. Probably should make sure that's that. Oh, I've gone into a different keyboard mode again, haven't I? Oh, they don't need that for one. Everything else is. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, it's still part of that. Not sure I want to do that, but let's see if that helps. And again, I'm at the same time as trying to do this, I'm trying to learn how I'm doing Kafka, Docker, ElasticSearch. I don't think that started. Oh, no, I did. Oh, no such file directory. Why? Said it connected. So if I do that, I failed to find any class that implements connector and which name. Right, so we don't have an install. Okay. Docker compose down. Does anyone have any ideas? Am I just missing pieces here? I don't think so. Oh. So that's the entry point. Well, this is a command. How does Kafka wait with elk? Well, elk is the Elasticsearch Kibana piece, right? Logstash, Elasticsearch logstash Kibana. So Kafka doesn't really relate in this case. How it's working here is Kafka is having a connector installed through the connect tool. So Kafka is many pieces. There's the actual brokers, which distribute the messages. There's the Zookeeper, which is going away, but still needs to be installed, which is annoying. Zookeeper used to be the orchestrator between the brokers. So you have the broker, the Zookeeper, and then you have a connect instance, and connect is able to run and basically makes consumers to the topics, and you are able to install connectors. So I've installed, or I'm trying to install, an Elasticsearch connector, and that all that does is stream that data straight from the topic into an index of Elasticsearch. Right. In the long term, there'll be more manipulation that goes on there with other tools in Kafka. But right now, Kafka does not have any relation necessarily to the elk stack. This is frustrating. So that's the one I want. I want that to happen. Command Confluent Hub. Oh, because it's in quotes. I don't need the quotes, do I? Docker compose. I guess Kafka talks. Kafka doesn't directly talk to. I don't know. What I'm trying to do is the bare minimum out of that example to see when it stops erroring. That looks healthier. Oh. There we go. There we go. I'm not sure why that comes back with the description, but this doesn't. So now if we install, if we look at Conductor, we should see connect up and running. Never mind. The comment is specific. That's all. Yeah. So if Kafka to connect, we have. Why did that not register? So the Mongo sync works. Oh, I'm getting it. There we go. And there's our ElasticSearch. Okay. That command is dirty because if Kafka dies, Bash won't do anything about it. Okay. This is an example program that I'm trying to make easy so that someone can check out the code with Docker installed and run it and be where I am now. Want to make it more complicated? I don't know. It feels pretty complicated to begin with. If you take this code and use it in production, good luck. Okay. That's D. And that started. Use your favorite REST client to execute the following. So I will come back over this. You've watched the stream. I'm not. I really do need to go and eat my food. So I'm trying to end this up so this ready to be played with. Am I missing anything there? So we just added the connectors. By adding the connectors, we know that we'll be able to. Yeah, true. Actually, good point. I can curl that, can I? How do I do that in the? I forget how to do that. Copy as curl. Copy as curl. What's the? Is it tick? Add ElasticSearch sync. Add MongoDB sync. Thank you. Now run the registration application. This actually gives me the curl to use, so I think he says. Let's give me the curl. Request body. Does. Aim. Pizza. Cheese. 1.99. Should be able to navigate to we have where is it? I keep missing it. Kibana 5601. Okay. And I'm in the same tool, so I'm being a tool. 5601 and add index pattern for pizzas. Then be able to search pizzas. We should be able to connect to Mongo on 27018. Do the pizza. Look at me, I'm writing things. Now, I am expecting, if you've watched the stream and you're interested in helping, for you to run this and try it and point out the problems with it and help with the documentation, because I think this is the sort of standard I would like to set going forward with things like Pizza as a Service. It would be helpful if we could say, okay, here's how to easily recreate this without any messing around. Now, I know that's not perfect, but yeah, you should be able to connect to MongoDB on 27018, default is 27017, and view the pizza in the pizza store collection. Have fun. Okay, so state all changes, documented, running Docker with installing. So what I was originally going to do is create an image of the container with the two connectors installed and use that from then on. But that doesn't help you if you're checking the code out, if you're checking it out. So now we've got a solution that gives us the ability to start the container up, run the relevant commands, install without prompts, and they clearly work. Running Docker with installing connectors. Connectors for Mongo, ElasticSearch, added the container style, using the documentation. README, we should be able to register the connectors and create a pizza. Okay. Okay, so that's on the main branch. There's no it says github.com to be friends. So we have here the Saturday lunch. Okay. So obviously the documentation needs a little bit of work, but you understand what to do based upon watching the stream. We're gonna see this through to the other side. Wow, that sounds horrible. We are going to see this through to the actual creating the website on the other side to take the data and see how we feel about that data format, and then use it as a tinkering tool to think about how that might fit in a larger example. Yeah, we're going to take it to the other side. This will, yeah. Okay. So this has been a bit of a crazy stream because it's been very random at times, but I think that I think we've achieved a lot in this period of time. I've learned a lot along this path. I have some ideas now about what to do with some of these things. I want to take this a bit further and use KSQLDB and start to project different streams out of the data, potentially. But that's a whole down the line thing. And yeah, this does fit slightly with, this is Pizza as a Service. We will continue on with that. We will add this sort of stuff into Pizza as a Service, but also, my day-to-day growth, my day-to-day learning is benefiting from this. So as I come up with ideas for new technologies that I'll be using over the course of the next couple of months, they will appear on stream, and I will share my thoughts about how I'm doing those things. But okay, so there we go. If you have any comments, issues, suggestions on this, you can feel free to put an issue in there. Also, the Discord is open. So if you want to join the Discord and talk more about this, if you have thoughts, opinions, ideas on anything we do on the stream, or software development, you want to share projects or get some help from other people that may or may not be able to help you, I still feel bad. There's a question in there the other week about using the image library with the provider that I just could not get up and running, and I feel bad that I could never answer that question, but it's what it is. So there we go. Hopefully you've had fun, and I am going to go and eat a cold chicken sandwich. Anyone you have in mind to raid? I don't see anybody yet. Okay. So we've been a few weeks. Is he playing games or is he coding? He is coding and he's in JavaScript. So we are going to go and raid Callow. We have been a while before we've raided Callow. So thank you very much for joining me. Take care. We'll be back on Saturday. We'll do more of this. Yeah. Thank you very much. I will see you all soon. Good night.